What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Baseball podcast. I'm William Lock-In. Joining me as he does for every single episode is Luis Barranco on this fine Monday morning, the final Monday of the regular season. Luis, how's it going?
We finally made it. I mean, we're at what game number right now? We're at like 155, probably 156 out of 162. We finally made it to the end. I mean, talk about the dog days of July and August. We made it.
It's here, the last week. Everything to play for still. Tons of races, the wild cards, the division races, the race for the top records in both leagues. I mean, there's a lot to watch in this last week. So I'm very excited for it. Yankees obviously playing the White Sox and the Orioles again. I mean, everything to play for. You got MVP races, or really the American League MVP race that still kind of does feel like it's up for grabs. Cy Young, maybe Rookie of the Year, National League Rookie of the Year. Drake Baldwin's been balling out. Kate Horton's been balling out. So there's a lot to watch in this last week. I'm excited.
Hey, don't forget about the mighty Marlins too. I mean, we've been playing some good ball too. So it remains to be seen. I mean, football's in the air. I know we had college football and NFL this weekend, but we're getting right into the middle, into the thick of what is MLB season. How's your weekend, by the way?
Weekend was great. Went to the White Sox game yesterday. Actually got, and I can show it here if you're listening or watching. I got the giveaway of the season. White Sox radio figurine, Comiskey Park, 1959 American League champions. This is a working AM FM radio. Got there a little bit early. Got there at before batting practice, and the line was through the door. Line was super long, so kind of no life it, but we got it, and it's pretty sick. It fully functions, is working. So now I'm going to be listening to the radio a little bit more. Maybe listening to the Cubs games on the White Sox radio. So that great weekend. That's probably the highlight of my weekend.
That's nice. I mean, you got that to look forward. I mean, Chicago. I mean, you got the Cubs, White Sox. I mean, you got the NBA YoungBoy concert, which has been going viral on social media, coming up here. Been seeing the videos and what's going on. It's at the United Center. Been seeing the guidelines for that concert. What else? October is right around the corner. October is next Wednesday. You ready? And happy first day of fall as well. Today is the first day of fall.
Today is it still feels like summer here, but it is the first day of fall. It's my dad's birthday. So everyone wish him a happy birthday in the comments. He's probably listening, so he can listen. He can wish himself a happy birthday in the comments. Always the first day of fall. Leaves are starting to turn. That means it's playoff baseball. And we got a week left. A week from Tuesday, tomorrow, is the start of the wild card series. So thinking we'll do today's episode. We'll do an episode on Friday. Then we'll do an episode on Sunday, kind of recapping the final weekend. And then probably do a full playoff preview, wild card round preview on next Monday evening. Have that for you guys to listen to on Tuesday before the game start. And then obviously once the games start, like probably do podcasts whenever we feel like it. We're kind of like on call at that point.
At that point, yeah, it's gonna be like the Beyond Scared Straight meme. Like, have you seen the kid where he's like falling asleep and they come in and like, get up, get out? Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. I saw the schedule and I think the CS ends on the 2nd or the 3rd of October. Either one of those 2 days.
The CS ends on the 2nd or 3rd.
The wild card. I'm sorry. I keep confusing the names for some reason. Like, I don't know. But
yeah. It'll probably be at the end of next week. Thursday is the last day of those wild card games. So Thursday night or Friday morning, depending on, we'll see. We got some time between
Friday morning would probably be at like 4 a.m. my time because I'll be in LA next week.
Okay, yeah. We'll do it Thursday night then. We'll do it live.
I'll be at a cocktail party. It's gonna be next week. Will be a very interesting podcast wise. So, I mean, we might as well get into it. I mean, we had a great weekend of baseball. We had the Clayton Kershaw's final start at home, final regular season start at home. You had the Yankees. You had the Marlins. I mean, where do we begin?
Yankee recap, of course.
Let's do the Yankee recap. As we always do, we recap the week that was for the New York Yankees with our resident Yankee fan, Mr. William Locke. We recap the weekend and the games that occurred with the New York Yankees. In the last weekend, the Yankees faced the Baltimore Orioles. They won 3 out of 4. We talked about Thursday that they won 7-0. On Friday, they lost 4-2 as Trevor Rogers went 6 innings and 7 strikeouts, 0 earned, 2 walks. They won Saturday. Yankees won Saturday 6-1. Rodon went 7 strong, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. And then yesterday, 7-1 in extras. They got the W. Ben Rice hit a grand slam yesterday off Keegan Aiken in the 10th to break the tie to go 5-1. And also, Ben Rice had the game-tying RBI single in the 6th. Rice had 4 hits in the game, and then he's hitting 424 in 33 at-bats since September 11th with 7 doubles, a homer, and 8 RBIs. Yankees are now a season-high 20 games over 500 and are an MLB best 28-14 since August the 6th. Jazz this weekend also become the 3rd Yankee in history to join the 30-30 club next to Bobby Bonds and Alfonso Soriano, who did it twice. But, I mean, talk about a good weekend for the team. I mean, everybody got in on the action. You saw Rosario got in on the action on Thursday night. Jazz, the hitting well. The whole team is slowly starting to click, William. The only thing is they can't hit elite pitching, which is Trevor Rogers. And I'll say elite lightly. We'll just say very good pitching.
I would say Trevor Rogers has kind of earned the moniker of being an elite pitcher this season, based on what we've seen from him. ERA sub-2 and pretty big sample size at this point. Yeah, I mean, this was a good series win. You know, winning Sunday was huge. Couldn't hit Kyle Bradish. He went 6 innings, 1 earned with 9 strikeouts. He was just totally flustering the Yankee bats. The good thing for the Yankees is Cam Schlittler had a really good start, and he went 5 1/3 with 1 earned, 6 strikeouts to only 1 walk. Struggled with command a little bit in that last inning. Obviously gave up the home run to Sammy Basayo. That was the lone run that he earned. And it was 1-0, but then Ben Rice had the game-tying double, and then it was 1-1 for a long time. The Yankee pen was really good on Sunday, which was refreshing. You know, it was kind of the A pen. They went 5 2/3, only allowing 1 hit, 0 earned runs. Did have 4 walks. Most of those were Camilo Doval, and then 7 strikeouts. That was Tim Hill, Cruz, Weaver, Williams, Bednar, and Doval. They all looked pretty good, except Doval with the walks. But that was the A pen. They held it down against the Orioles. Kept the game at bay 1-1. And then the Yankees finally got the bats going in extras. And that was a huge game to win because obviously, and we'll get to that series later, Toronto did win their game on Sunday. So the Yankees stayed within 2 games, but really it's basically a 3-game lead at this point because Toronto owns the tiebreaker over the Yankees right now, or this season. Good series win. Obviously, you left one on the table Friday with Toronto getting spanked on Friday. But I thought Will Warren left the Yankees in a position to win the game. Obviously, the errors. There was that one sloppy inning where the Orioles scored all their runs for the most part. Jazz, the home run. They had opportunities late after that when it was 4-2, and they just didn't come through. But, you know, overall, a good series. It's hard to sweep a 4-game set. You very rarely see 4-game sweeps. Obviously, the Yankees are going to have to face Trevor Rogers again on Friday night, which kind of sucks. But I thought, given, you know, the circumstances, the late night travel and getting into Baltimore late Thursday night or Thursday morning, whatever it was after being in Minnesota, good series win, kind of a taking care of business series win. The bats are going, the bullpen's pitching better. The starting pitching has been very good of late. I know it's bad teams. So what do you take away from that? I don't know. But they did really good against the tough stretch of 12 games, going 7-5. I feel like we learned a lot about them. Now we're kind of just in taking care of business mode until the playoffs start. And I think the magic number is down to like 3 at this point. They're going to be in the playoffs, barring an utter and complete meltdown. They're 4 up right now of that 3rd wild card spot. So really only need a couple more things to go their way. I think they can clinch as early as Wednesday. And they got the White Sox for 3 this week. So it's got to be a sweep at home in the Bronx against the White Sox.
Let me just ask you this. Would you rather have an end of the season like this and finish out strong, or would you rather limp into the playoffs? I think the answer is pretty obvious. That I mean, it's seeing them take care of business and play really good baseball to end the season. It kind of quells the issues we have with this team. Like I said, it was all doom and gloom in August and July. Now with how the team's playing, like I said, I'm not as concerned. Like obviously, I am concerned if they get a Boston in round 1 and then get Garrett Crochet. But now, the playoffs are a new season. It's the records are wiped clean. You're winning 100 games or 95 games doesn't matter in the playoffs. Your season is basically defined in the wild card series in 3 games. So regardless of, oh yeah, we won 195, or oh yeah, like we just limped into the playoffs. Like you want to play good baseball down the stretch and you want to stay hot because your season is defined in essentially 3 nights or 3 games, depending on when you play them. And seeing this team finally start to turn the corner right now here in late August, early September, now late September, is a positive development. Yes, like we said, there are matchups we do not want to see, but I think I would still take the Yankees just because of how strong they've played lately.
Yeah, I mean, for all the doom and gloom that the Yankees fan base had, for all the doom and gloom that the Yankee fan base was going through in the middle of the summer when the team was struggling, and I think the fan base deservedly had the right to kind of freak out a little bit, but they've been better. I mean, like we said, best record in Major League Baseball since August 6th at 28-14. And, there are some good teams in there in that stretch. Obviously, they went through that tough 12-game stretch and played well. Now they're taking care of business against the bad teams. They're 20 games over 500, which is a season high. And they're, within striking distance of Toronto for the division. I do think the division is still probably over, although Toronto has a tough week against Boston to start the week for a 3-game set in Toronto, though. So you would kind of lean Toronto in that series, but anything can happen in baseball. I do think the Yankees, it's just the thing about the wild card series is it's a best 2 out of 3. Anything can happen in a best 2 out of 3 series against another playoff team. Just such a crapshoot. So it's good that the Yankees looks like they're going to get that series at home. But I mean, Baltimore got that series at home last year and they lost 2 straight. I think they lost 2 straight years in the wild card series, or they lost in the division series to Texas in 2023. But anything can happen in those series. So you would at least like to get a guaranteed 5-game series and try to win that division, get the DS. I do think it kind of sucks that the Yankees are probably going to finish with the 2nd best record in the American League and have to be the 4 seed because they give priority to the division winners, which fair enough. Winning your division, I get it. It's tough, but the Yankees are going to have a better record than the Tigers. They're probably going to have a better record than the Mariners, or I mean, even the Guardians, because it looks like the Guardians could win that division at this point. I'm not a fan of that. I do think this next week, the Yankees have to win every single game. They got 6 games. They got to win all 6 and then see what happens because they got to make up essentially 3 games on Toronto. Toronto has Boston and Tampa. Win all the games against Chicago and Baltimore this week and just see what happens. See where you are. If the thing is, if you don't win the division because Toronto just keeps winning, there's a very good chance then that Boston drops out of the postseason because, like I said, they play each other for 3. Boston also plays Detroit to end out the season. That's a challenging week for Boston. There's a very good chance that they just completely drop out of the playoffs altogether. They're currently 1 game up of Cleveland and Houston for the 2nd wild card in the American League. I can see a world where Boston drops out, and then you're looking at a 4 matchup where the Yankees are the 4 seed and they're playing like Cleveland or Houston or something, which you would feel better about than a Boston. I think Boston is the one team that the Yankees want to avoid. And I guess my question to you is, how do you feel about the Yankees playing Toronto in a postseason matchup, given what Toronto has kind of looked like over the last couple of weeks, where they've kind of been struggling a little bit?
I think it would be a toss-up, to be honest, because they would have home field advantage in the fortress that is the Rogers Center up north in Canada. Obviously, the pitching, I would give the edge right now to right now this season. The Blue Jays pitching has been better statistically. That bullpen, even though it hasn't been like miles better, but it would be tight. It'd be a coin toss of a series, but I could have. It's too close to call.
Yeah.
I can't really say. I mean, it's going to come down to can the Blue Jays player do it or the Yankees, and I would like to tend that the Yankees' experience with those guys that were there last year in the World Series team would get it done over the guys in Toronto.
Yeah, it'd be a tough series. The Yankees have more postseason experience, at least in terms of like being on the current team. Obviously, George Springer has tons of playoff experience, but that was in a different setting.
Max Scherzer,
but he was terrible in his start on Friday night. Like, is he going to go in the playoffs? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. He's capable of coming and having a moment.
And yeah, they just lost Chris Bassett to the injured list, lower back inflammation. Bo Bichette's been on the injured list for a while. Obviously, Santander hasn't been on the team really all season. He's been out since like May. They moved Jose Berrios to the bullpen, which I thought was interesting. So you're probably looking at like Kevin Gausman, Shane Beamer, the South Carolina head coach, Shane Bieber, game 1, game 2, and then game 3. We'll see. They're using Trey Yesevich a lot now. Kind of see what they have from him. The rookie from ECU was drafted last year. Obviously, the lineup is the strength of that team, but it would be a fun playoff matchup. Obviously, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but we're kind of trying to see, looking at the current playoff picture right now, it would be 4-5 wild card Yankees, Red Sox. Winner gets Toronto in the DS. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And we're into the last week of the season to where this stuff is starting to get really real. Now, this Boston-Toronto series, Toronto does have to go up against Garrett Crochet on Wednesday. So that is something to note. And Boston does have to face Kevin Gausman on Tuesday night. So that should be a fun series. That's one we're going to definitely be watching as Yankee fans. I think I as a Yankee fan, I would rather avoid the Red Sox than Toronto. That's just how I feel. And it's literally only because Boston has Garrett Crochet. Because we feel a lot differently about Boston as a team without Roman Anthony than with Roman Anthony, but they still have Crochet in a best 2 out of 3 wildcard series. You're probably losing the Crochet game, and then you're down 1-0. It's like, all right, you got to win 2 straight, and anything can happen at that point. So winning game 1 in that wildcard series is so important.
Can we take a moment and talk about the AL MVP race here?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting so toxic, the discourse.
I mean, when you look at both players, Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge in 2025, currently Aaron Judge has a higher WAR. He has more hits, higher batting average, on-base percentage, slug, OPS, and OPS plus. But Raleigh has a higher, more plate appearances, more games, more home runs, more RBIs, and more stolen bases. I was thinking about the other day, is it possible to get co-MVPs in the American League? Because I think that's might be what occurs, that we get co-MVPs. And I looked up it's happened. Don't look it up, but it has happened once. It happened, guess what year, when we had co-MVPs?
I don't know.
In 1979, the NL MVP award was split between Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell. So it was a super rare event. And what I'm reading here is that it's the only time it's happened in MLB history. Both players had an equal amount of points at 216 points off the ballots. But Willie Stargell had 10 first place votes and Keith Hernandez had 4. It is possible, and that's what I think they're going towards. I think both players in their right mind, have been incredible this season. And I kind of feel like, okay, you're going to get voter fatigue from Aaron Judge, and then you're going to have like a lot of voters pick for Cal Raleigh because he pretty much came out of nowhere this year to have a season. And, we got a week left, and he's at 58 home runs. I mean, 61, 62 is still in the question in this next week. He could go ahead and break the Aaron Judge most home runs, which I think it's like 62.
62, yeah. So he'd have to hit 5 home runs in a week. That's tough.
I mean, but he is hitting nukes. Like
it's possible.
But what do you think about that? About the possibility of co-MVPs?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I feel like both players are deserving this season. Raleigh, you obviously have to factor in the fact that he's a catcher and how valuable that position is, et cetera. He's having the best season as a catcher in MLB history. And it would feel a little bit weird if he just didn't win anything, had nothing to show for it. I guess he would probably win like the Silver Slugger. And I guess there's probably a word for best catcher. Sorry. There's got to be. I don't think he'll win the Gold Glove. He hasn't been as good defensively this year as he has in the past, but it would feel weird for him not to win at least like a share of the MVP. But again, it's getting like the discourse on social media and everything is getting so toxic about this award this year that I'm kind of over it at this point. Like, let's just see what happens the last week and then forget about it for all of October. And then they'll announce it in November and we'll see what happens. We'll see who wins. I think both people have a strong argument. And I obviously, like I've been saying, I would probably vote Judge, but again, Cal Raleigh can totally see every point and don't disagree with any of the points that are being made for Cal Raleigh. So both are deserving. And co-MVPs, I don't think that would make people feel good. I think that would probably frustrate a lot of people, especially, 2025 is a lot different than 1979. But if that's the way the voting falls, that's the way the voting falls. And we have co-MVPs. Again, both are deserving. So I could see it.
My thing is like you see two really good players this year. I mean, say any other player has a season like this, like Aaron Judge is having. Let's just say it's like, I don't know. Let's say Christopher Morel has a season like that, like Aaron Judge numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You would give the MVP probably to that player. I think Christopher Morel is a bad example, but let's say like, I don't know, Ha-Seong Kim has a season like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe like I don't know, Junior Caminero, because Cal Raleigh's hit a bunch of home runs in the past. Caminero's hit a bunch of home runs this year. If Caminero busted out of the gates next year and just had a crazy year like Judge, yeah, he'd probably win MVP. People do act like that's one thing that people act like Judge is a complete nothing in the outfield. And I know he missed a lot of time because of the injury. He is back in the outfield now. And, when he was playing, he was good. He's 2 outs above average. The arm value and arm strength are both really high on Baseball Savant. So he's not a nothing outfielder. He's actually been pretty solid defensively for the Yankees this year when he's been out there, when he's been healthy. And it seems like the arm is getting a little bit healthier now. He did get hit in the elbow yesterday. Seems like he's okay, hopefully. But yeah, he's not a nothing in the field. Obviously, what Raleigh does defensively is much more important than Aaron Judge. Not denying that. But yeah, Judge is still out there defensively. He's not like other right fielders in New York. Just say that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens. But I mean, grade the weekend that was for the New York Yankees, por favor.
Give it a solid 9 out of 10. Obviously, he left it on the table a little bit on Friday with the loss to Rogers. And, the offense really struggled against Bradish on Sunday. But give it a 9. Solid series win. TCB,
take care of business. As we finish talking about the Yankees, let's do the MLB Weekend recap. William, let's start out with some NPC series. Let's start with the least important series. LA Angels versus the Colorado Rockies. Rockies won 2 out of 3. They beat the Rockies won on Friday 7-6, and they won yesterday 3-1. Angels won 3-0 on Saturday. Mike Trout hit homer number 400. Couldn't tell you because nobody talked about it. It was lost in the sauce that is college football on Saturday, and he plays for the Angels, which is a shame.
Yeah, nothing from this one. Good job for Mike Trout, but 400 is definitely a historic number. I saw the fan that caught it was playing catch with him after the game, but nothing from this one. The Rockies do clinch not being as bad as the White Sox last year, so that does mean something. And totally irrelevant series. I'm just saying, if you're not tapped into baseball, you would have not known that Mike Trout hit 400. No chance. You would have known that Vanderbilt beat Georgia State, but
but not Mike Trout 400. You
No.
would have known about freaking Auburn, Oklahoma, and the rule change that happened with the Auburn, Oklahoma game instead of Mike Trout hitting 400.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, and that's like unfortunately for him, like kind of the story of his career. Like just, yeah, he's put up crazy numbers, but it's been in irrelevant baseball. Unfortunately, he's made the playoffs once in his career.
Let me ask you a question. This might be inflammatory here.
Okay.
Who has better media publicity, Mike Trout or the Big 12?
I mean, the Big 12. Why? I don't get the quote. What's wrong with the Big 12?
I'm just saying out of the power conferences, obviously the SEC gets a lot of media attention. Big 10 because of Michigan and Ohio State. Then it's just like the big ACC, and then there's the Big 12. Like,
yeah, this new era Big 12 doesn't have like the marquee school anymore. It's kind of just a bunch of like, fun. It's great football to watch, fun football. And marquee school in terms of football. Obviously, they have Kansas for basketball. That's marquee. They have a really good basketball conference. But for football, they don't have like the Texas, even the Texas A&M, the Georgia, the Bama, the Michigan, the Penn State. They don't have the marquee brand anymore. Like, who's the headline team? So, yeah, I agree. The publicity is not great on them. But I still think people care more about Big 12 football than they do Mike Trout Angels baseball.
I think the rest in peace Pac-12 gets more. The Pac-12 gets more than Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, they had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, two of the most talented players of a generation, and didn't make the playoffs once. They're never going to make the playoffs with Trout.
So, A's played the Pirates this week, and the Pirates took 2 out of 3. A's won 4-3 on Friday. Saturday, the Pirates won 2-0, and then Sunday, the Pirates won 11-0. Again, Paul Skeens did not pitch. Bubba Chandler pitched on Saturday, going 5 strong, 0 earned, 6 strikeouts. I have no thoughts on that series other than the A's are still getting ready for next year.
Yeah, I got nothing. Kurtz homered on Friday, 33.
A big one. Let's talk about the hottest team in the majors. Second hottest team in the majors, the Miami Marlins. We swept the Texas Rangers. We won Friday 6-4 and 12. Saturday 4-3, and then 4-2 on Sunday. William, biggest development out of this game. I mean, man, Miami. Have you seen how many games are outside of the wild card with a week to go? We're still alive.
Yeah, 4 back of the Mets for that third wild card. They are still alive despite being 4 games under 500. The Mets play the Cubs, and they close out with obviously the Marlins. The Marlins play the Phillies, which is going to be a challenging series, and then they close out with the Mets. So you would need the Mets to struggle in Chicago, and you would need obviously to basically sweep the week, and then you would need some luck with the Diamondbacks, Giants, and Cardinals. So it's still extremely unlikely, but the chance is still theoretically there.
Why are you throwing like rain on the parade? I mean, Arizona, they have the Dodgers. The Giants have the Cardinals. We have Philadelphia. Philadelphia's not playing for anything. And then we also get the Mets at the fortress that is loanDepot Park.
You face Chris Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, and Taijuan Walker. Fangraphs gives you a 0.1% chance of making the playoffs.
If we make the playoffs, what would you do on this podcast?
What would I do? I'm not going to shave my head if that's what you want me to do. But
I was going to say that.
I don't know. I'll let you lead you can lead the podcast again. Although we kind of trade that off anyway. You did that the last episode. You did that. So
big thing. I mean, Rangers have been struggling. Rangers have lost 7 in a row.
They're cooked.
Also, I want to ask you. You know, in Miami, we're pretty new wave to stuff. We're like the Silicon Valley boys. Like we're like with the latest and the greatest in baseball. What do you think about the coaching staff calling pitches out of the dugout? What do you think about that? Is that the future? Is that the thing we're going to see? I mean, we've been doing it in the minor leagues for a while, and we have some of the best minor league pitching up and down. Is that the future in the majors?
It is an interesting. It was very interesting to see that because it takes me all the way back to little league and even into like middle school, high school baseball. That's where you see that for the most part. You don't really see that at the college level. You don't see it at the professional level. But it worked. You definitely don't see it at the professional level. Jansen Junk on Friday went 7 innings, 1 earned, no walks, 5 strikeouts, and yeah, the coaching staff was calling pitches. I wonder if this is analytics creeping in even more, and every single pitch is now going to be, down to analytics and what the binder is telling the coaching staff in certain counts against certain hitters in certain situations. I don't think I like it. I think it takes away from some of the freedom of the Marlins pitching staff. And, they have had success this year and in the past. I mean, they had a Cy Young winner a few years ago. So I don't think I like it. But then again, like the Marlins have been winning baseball games. They've been playing really well. They've overachieved this season, given their expectations. They're alive in the postseason hunt with a week to go. So I say I don't like it necessarily, but it might work. It might work.
I'm very interested to see if that's something that continues. Will Major League Baseball allow that to happen? Big question to see if it's the start of something or the end of something.
Do you think MLB is going to intervene here and say, no, you can't? But why would MLB do that? Is it just too much technical?
You're pretty much having like you said, you're pretty much having a computer run the baseball game. At this point, baseball is becoming a sim game.
Yeah.
It's literally becoming a computer game like Football Manager. Like essentially, you get the GM. It's like, okay, it's like FM in real life. But we'll see. Next series, that's it for the NPC series. I mean, tough for Texas. We've been sticking at the place. So
you could, I mean, the injuries finally caught up to them. But you could say that wasn't an NPC series just because the Marlins are still technically alive. They are alive.
You want to call it NPC series. You're the one calling us that we're dead. We're still alive. We're like a cockroach. We got 1 million lives down here. We will not die. We will survive.
That series is in Philly this week, by the way.
Yeah, and
I think Philly is still technically playing for that number 1 seed in the National League.
I thought you were going to say, oh, it's in Philly, so the Eagles. I'm like, season's not over. Mike Trout still can't pull up. So
Phillies are 3 back of Milwaukee, by the way, for that first seed in the National League.
Hey, well, let's talk about that Philadelphia series. I mean, Philadelphia, they played the Diamondbacks this weekend. Diamondbacks take 2 out of 3. Phillies went on Friday 8-2. Castellanos hit homer 250. Harrison Bader hit a homer in a 3-hit game. Who's been on fire. They scored 2 in the 8th and 3 in the ninth to blow it open. On Saturday, Zach Gallen was strong as the Diamondbacks won 4-3. Gallen went 7 strong, 3 earned, 9 strikeouts. Bohm came back off the injured list this weekend, hit a homer on Saturday. Phillies were up 3-2 into the 6th, but then the Diamondbacks got 2. John Curtis with the save, and then Sunday the Diamondbacks got the win 9-2. Ranger Suarez gave up 6 in 4 innings. Corbin Carroll hit a homer, becoming the first Diamondback to go have a 30-30 season. Again, Philadelphia looking at I don't really have much of this series. I mean, Philadelphia's already in playoff mode. They're clinched. They've already won the East after this weekend. They're in. They have nothing to worry about. Again, the only teams that they're chasing is Brewers for best record in the NL, which they're 3 games behind, and then the Dodgers, they have a 4-game lead on the Dodgers for that 2nd seed. So potentially they're at a inflection point here where do you try to run down Milwaukee? Again, Milwaukee plays San Diego in San Diego this week, and then Philadelphia has Miami. It's like, do you try to run them down or do you just chill?
I think they'll try to run them down. I believe Milwaukee does own that playoff tiebreaker because they won the season series this year. So I would lean to probably just kind of coast into the postseason. Maybe if they lose a game in that Marlins series, kind of just like, all right, let's just get everybody healthy, get ready for the postseason. The Nick Castellanos stuff was interesting.
I did see that.
Beefing with Rob Thompson a little bit. Had some weird comments to the media after the game. I think it was on Saturday, basically saying like, when he tells me to play, I play, and when he tells me to sit, I sit. seems like he's essentially Castellanos has been upset with his playing time this year. But when you bring in a guy like Harrison Bader that's been crushing it at the trade deadline, like ideally you're going to favor him over Castellanos, who's been one of the worst defensive outfielders. He struggled at the plate this year. I get it. He hit home run 250 on his career, I believe, this weekend, but hasn't got much playing time. I don't think that's what you want going on in that locker room ahead of the postseason. So hopefully they kind of quell those issues.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, Phillies are a strong team. Like I said, we'll see how they show up in the playoffs is my question.
Yeah, and then on Arizona, I mean, I talked about it on Friday, but I'll reiterate it again. The fact that they're even in this thing at this point in the season is crazy to me, given what's happened to them this year, all of the injuries. Obviously losing Corbin Burns, their prize free agent acquisition to Tommy John, Justin Martinez to Tommy John, AJ Puck gone. They traded away Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor. Essentially blew it up at the deadline, traded away Merrill Kelly. They did keep Zach Gallen, who's been incredible in the second half of the season, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, honestly, in the second half of the season. You got Geraldo Perdomo, who's, again, the most underrated player in all of baseball this season. Since the All-Star break, Geraldo Perdomo leads baseball in F4 at 3.6. He's got a 167 WRC plus with a 964 OPS. He's hitting 330 since the All-Star break. You got Corbin Carroll, first 30-30 season in Diamondbacks history. He's third in F4 since the All-Star break. Again, one of the better players in all of baseball this season. They have guys in that lineup that have been stepping up. The pitching rotation's been better. Bullpen's still a major question mark, but they're in this thing. They're a game back of a wild card spot. They do have a very tough week with the Dodgers, and then they finish up with the Padres. So if I had to bet, I still think they miss out. But 2 games over 500, still in the wild card race with a week to go. Given that fact that it's a season from hell from them, very impressive. Series win against a good Phillies team. Good for the Diamondbacks. I feel like that's just my World Series team, my World Series pick before the season. Obviously, things went south. I do think next season, if they can get healthy, maybe Burns returns at some point in the season, maybe there's reason to think they can maybe do it next year. Hell, they could even do it this year, but probably not. Probably not. But good season for them nonetheless.
You're just a Corbin Carroll guy.
I am.
I think that's your favorite player, non-Yankee, in the major leagues.
He's up there. I mean, he's going to lead the league in triples basically his entire career.
But he's your favorite non-Yankee.
He's always on my fantasy team. I mean, Austin Riley's up there.
Yeah, but you like Corbin Carroll more than Austin Riley.
Yeah. Obviously, he's a better player than Austin Riley. He's just electric. I mean, he runs the base as well. No one thought that this power was going to be there for Carroll when he was coming up. 30 home runs, crazy.
Let's run through some series that don't really have that much implication still. San Diego won 2 out of 3 versus the White Sox. Dylan Cease pitched on Friday, gave up 4 in 6 innings, 6 strikeouts. The White Sox won 4-3, but then the Padres came roaring back on Saturday to win 7-3, and then the Padres won 3-2. Michael King got through 5 strong and 4 strikeouts with 4 walks, and that was the weekend for the White Sox. For the Padres, Padres look pretty much set in that second wild card spot. They're one of those teams that can chase down the Cubs. They're 3 games behind, but I think they're just going to chill at the second position. They still have not clinched into the playoffs. They need to win, I believe, 1 or 2 more games. They play Milwaukee to actually clinch, but we'll expect to see San Diego in there. Any thoughts on the Padres White Sox series?
Well, I was there Sunday. Looks like the Padres are going to fly back to Chicago for the wild card series next week. But the Cubs, we can talk about them next. They've been terrible of late. So there's a chance that San Diego catches up to them this week. And that series is in San Diego. That the season series was tied 3-3. So I think then it goes to runs scored, which would favor the Cubs. The Padres in person kind of just felt like what I've thought of them all season. They've been good. They have not been on the level of the top teams in the National League. I don't think they're at that level. Michael King was good until he lost control, had a bunch of walks late. Tatis hit the homer, but Tatis hasn't been as good this season as I feel like the hype that he gets. Go ahead. You have to say something.
I think the one thing that describes San Diego is just inconsistency. I think San Diego is one of those teams that we look on paper and they look like, man, they should be a contender and up there. But I just feel that they just lack the little spice to get up there. They play sometimes really well versus the good teams, and then when they play the bad teams, they play down. They don't take care of business, as we've talked about earlier in the season when they were trying to chase down the Dodgers and they had those 2 series back to back versus the Dodgers in that like week and a half span. And so, I mean, does this team surprise me? No. If the team makes it to the CS, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, if the season gets knocked out in the first round by the Cubs or whoever they play in the first round, would I be surprised? No. Nothing will surprise me with this team. It'd be more surprising if they miss the playoffs. And that's just simple as.
Yeah, they won't miss the playoffs. Again, the biggest question with them is the starting pitching. Can they give them length to avoid just taxing the bullpen in October? That's the biggest concern. I saw Mason Miller yesterday. He struggled with his command a little bit. The thing with Tatis, like he's 10th in F4 on the season. He's a really good defender. All of his metrics are really impressive. But he only has an 805 OPS this season with 23 home runs. He hasn't really ever gotten back, and he's a great player. He's one of my favorite players to watch in all of baseball. He's like genuinely electric. I think he's perfect for that San Diego crowd, especially in the postseason. But he's never gotten really back to that 2021 form where he had 42 home runs and a 975 OPS with a 166 OPS plus. Like, is he at that level of a player? Can he get back to that? Or is he more of like a, 800 to 830 OPS guy with, instead of 42 home runs, he's in the 20s? Because that's what we've seen from him in the last 3 seasons. And that's your superstar. That's the guy you're paying to be one of the best players in the league. And statistically, he is. He's an elite defender. Like I said, 10th in F4. The numbers are there. But can he take it to that next level and jump into the top 5? Can he push for an MVP in the National League, which is going to be tough when Ohtani exists in the same division, obviously. But he is an incredible player. Is he a top 5 player? I want to see him get to that point. Because if he gets to that point in the playoffs, where he plays at an elite level, yeah, they can win. And I can see them making a run. Exactly. They got the pen to do it. They need to get Bogarts healthy. That's huge. I haven't seen an update on that one. The lineup, like their trade deadline acquisitions need to be there, and they need to play well. Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano. They can win it. They can get hot. They're one of those teams that can get hot, strike lightning in a bottle, and win the World Series. Like you said, I can also see them losing in the first round. So they're really mercurial. Anything can happen with them. But it was a good series win in Chicago. And that was the last White Sox home game of the year. They do not play at home until March. So it was Fan Appreciation Day, and they were giving away some really good gifts. One fan got like group tickets to a suite next season to a game. One girl got a car, and one other person got a free United flights for 2 people. I think anywhere. I don't know if it's domestic, international, but free flights. Like, all right, it was Fan Appreciation Day, so obviously they're not giving much for the fans to root for on the field, so they had to do something off the field pretty well. Good for them.
I think that what it sounds like is the White Sox love their fans more than the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs are like, oh yeah, you guys are cool, but like the White Sox, we actually appreciate you. We'll give you free flights in a car,
Cubs are like, we'll give you postseason baseball. Fair enough. We're not going to invest in the team, though.
I mean, talking about the White Sox season, what do you think about them? Do you think it's a positive season for them now? Talking about that it's a last home game, you saw a little bit about them. I think they got some pieces to grow from.
They got some pieces.
They weren't terrible.
No, they weren't. They picked up like 17 more wins. They were at 41 last year. I think they're at like 57 right now, 58.
58.
So it's improvement, slow improvement. It's going to be a really slow rebuild still. I like the pitching. Shane Smith is something to build around there in the rotation. Colson Montgomery, Chase Meidroth, Kyle Teal are guys I point to in the lineup that can be good for them moving forward. Edgar Caro had a good season. Lenin Sosa had a good season. So, there's some talent. Again, they don't have like a superstar or anything, so it's going to be a long time for them to develop. They got some prospects coming up, Braden Montgomery from Texas A&M, but still, I think next year you're looking at a 60-win team, maybe 70-win team, but it's going to be slow but steady. We'll see if maybe they bring in a free agent or 2. I don't know, but slow improvement for them.
Talk about another last series we'll talk about before we get into some real discussion. Milwaukee, St. Louis. St. Louis won 2 out of 3. They won Sunday 5-1 and 7-1 on Friday. Brewers won Saturday in 10, 3-2. Brewers clinched on Sunday because the Cubs lost. Biggest thing with the Brewers, I'll ask you. We've talked about their voodoo magic and everything. Brewers play in San Diego this week. They're 5 games away from 100. They're the only team right now that could get to 100 potentially. Yeah, they're the only team because the next team is the Phillies, and it's at 92. Will the Brewers get to 100?
I'm going to say the Brewers do not get 100 wins. They only need 5. They'd have to go 5-1 this week. San Diego, tough travel spot for them, flying from St. Louis after their game on Sunday all the way out west to San Diego. But the Padres did fly from Chicago to San Diego, so it's kind of like an equal travel thing. I think they won't. And then they got the Reds, who over the weekend the Reds are going to be battling for their playoff lives probably. And Milwaukee, if they win a game or two against San Diego, they will probably clinch home field advantage in the National League. So I think it's going to be the second straight year where we don't have a 100-win team.
Damn, that's crazy. Brandon Woodruff on the IL with the lat strain. Thoughts about that one?
That's huge. That is huge because he was your game 2 starter. Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff. He needs to be ready for October. I haven't seen it. Lat strain seems like he's probably not going to be ready. There's been so many injuries. I think that's another storyline from this weekend. There's been so many key injuries to key playoff teams.
Yeah, Will Smith.
Will Smith, hairline fracture in his hand, I believe it is. So he's out. You had Brian Wu with the pec, but it seems like he's just day to day trying to avoid the injured list. Chris Bassett to the injured list. Obviously, you've had Roman Anthony hurt for quite some time. If you look at the American League, every team except the Yankees has key injuries. You could say Garrett Cole is a key injury for the Yankees, but that's an old injury. He's been out for the whole season. The Astros have Yordan Alvarez, who's probably not going to be back for the postseason. The Tigers lost Colt Keith now to the injured list, probably not going to be ready for the postseason. The Blue Jays, Chris Bassett, Bo Bichette are injured. Who else is a playoff team in the American League?
There's just way too many injuries right now. It just thinks because we're getting into that like point of the season where games are going to be decided and it's critical games and we're having injuries decide. I know it happens in every sport, but it just stinks because I feel like we're getting a lot of major ones happen down the stretch here in the last weekend. It's 162. It's a long time.
I guess the Cubs are relatively healthy, but Justin Steele has been out for the season. That's a key loss. San Diego is healthy for the most part, but they don't have Bogarts right now. The Giants won't be in the postseason. The Dodgers have a bunch of injuries. So it is interesting. It makes things a little more interesting. Losing Woodruff, though, is huge for Milwaukee, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's move on. Dodgers at Giants. Giants at Dodgers, excuse me. Dodgers won 3 out of 4. They won Thursday 2-1 in the Yamamoto Logan Webb pitchers duel. Yamamoto went 5 1/3, 6 walks, 7 strikeouts. Webb went 7 strong, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts. Dodgers limited to 1 hit the run game and a bases loaded walk in the 7th. On Friday, Clayton Kershaw's last start at Dodger Stadium went 4 1/3, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts. Gave up a homer in the first to Heliot Ramos and right in the first inning. But the Dodgers clinched the playoffs. Very cool moment seeing Matthew Stafford in the crowd, seeing the whole Kershaw crowd out there. They were getting the rubber off the mound after the game. Cool moment. Will be a very interesting thing. We'll do a whole podcast episode about retirees. And I was taking a minute this weekend to read Kershaw's statistics for his career, and completely nutty. Doesn't have 100 losses, which is crazy for the amount of longevity the guy has. You'd imagine he'd have 100 losses at this point, but nah, not at all.
Yeah, he
Saturday,
has.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So yeah, he's over 300 career starts. Well over 300 career starts. 450 career starts. 226 and 96 is his record, and he's won 3 Cy Youngs, 11 All-Stars, MVP, Triple Crown winner, obviously the World Series twice, although he didn't really play a role much last year. Gold Glove winner, 5-time ERA title. Just go check out his Savant page, and there's a book out there that's already been released about him. So yeah, I think he's the best pitcher of our generation. I thought it was kind of cool that Verlander was there. Obviously on the Giants, probably add in Scherzer, the 3 best pitchers of this generation. And seems like Verlander wants to pitch next year, which I think he has, what we've seen from him down the stretch, he's definitely got it in the tank. And yeah, Kershaw calling it quits at age 37. So great career. I think he's going to get another start this week on the road, and we'll see what happens in the postseason.
I love it, man. Leave the game before the game leaves you is what I tell the kids, man. Kershaw is leaving the game before he just doesn't. He looks a shell of himself. On Saturday, Dodgers won 7-5. Glasnow pitched 5, 4 earned, 7 strikeouts, and then Giants won yesterday 3-1. Blake Trinan gave up 3 in 2/3 innings pitched. Wasn't great, and this was in the 8th inning. But I mean, again, Giants taking the L again. I mean, Giants have so much to like about them, but again, they're missing some type of sauce. Before we talked about them being a team that could make a run for it. They're 3 out of the last 10, struggling out the gate. And then the Dodgers are 6-4. I mean, injuries for the Dodgers really hurt them. But I mean, I think they're in a good spot to make some noise. I mean, they would play the Reds, Mets, the wild card 6 team, and then they would play the Phillies, which I mean would be absolute cinema.
Yeah, that would be cinema. I'll share my screen with. Oh, is it not going to work?
Absolute cinema with these teams, but
yeah, I'm trying to find. Well, it's not going to work. Maybe I'll just. Oh, here we go. This is if you're listening on YouTube, you can see right now. This is what we're looking at for the postseason if things ended today. So yeah, it would be the Reds, which we can talk about them after this. They swept the Cubs. The Mets are not here right now. The Dodgers down here, 3 seed. Right now it would be Cubs, Padres, which would be fun. Winner plays Brewers. Yankees, Sox. Winner plays Toronto. And look at that. Look who snuck into the playoffs right now. Cleveland. We'll talk about them later too. Cleveland, Detroit playing Seattle winner. But obviously this is going to change this week. Another tough series loss for the Giants. They are only 3 back, and they do have an easy week. They play the Cardinals and the Rockies. So it's not theoretically over for them. It is a lighter week. They got through the tough part of the schedule. Winning on Sunday could be huge for them. You have the Mets that are capitulating right now. And if you look at what Cincinnati has Pittsburgh, which is easy, but they do wrap up the season with Milwaukee. And the Mets obviously we talked about it, but they have the Cubs, and then they have the mighty Marlins in the fortress that is Lone Depot Park. So I wouldn't write off the Giants just yet. Even though they're 2 under 500, it's not completely over.
Let's talk about the wild card. The Mets and the Nationals played this weekend. Nationals won 2 out of 3. Friday, the Mets won 12-6. Juan Soto putting the team on his back, setting a career high with 42 homers, hitting a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 2 runs on Friday. But the Mets got the win. But then the Nationals got the attitude rolling, winning 5-3 on Saturday in extras. And then on Sunday they won 3-2. That's 1. Then you had the Reds. Reds did a 4-game sweep off the Cubs, winning Thursday 1-0. Hunter Green had a complete game, 1 walk, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, first career complete game. Reds won 7-4. They got to Shota Imanaga, 3 earned in 5 innings for Mr. Imanaga. And then the Reds won on Saturday 6-3, and then the Reds won 1-0. Reds control their own destiny, William. It's going to be a stretch. Mets, we talked about the schedules. Hey, if the Reds pitching keeps it up, I don't think there's a team that wants to see the Reds in the playoffs with that pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to face that lineup. They haven't been in the postseason since 2020, which I don't really count. So their last true postseason experience was 2013, when Joey Votto was their star player. So it's been a long time for Reds fans, long overdue. It would be truly incredible if they pull this thing off and get into the postseason. A lot of it is to do with the Mets capitulation, but this was a huge sweep. Huge. I mean, they dominated the Cubs this weekend. 2-1-0 wins. The pitching was really good. Good start from Zach Littell, who gives up a bunch of home runs. Lodolo was okay. Andrew Abbott was okay. The bullpen did its job. I think Tony Santillan, their reliever, has the most appearances this entire season. You talked about kind of the voodoo magic, Terry Francona in late September into October. Maybe that is a team you don't want to play. I mean, Sal Stewart's been a nice addition to that lineup. Ellie De La Cruz hit his first home run in a long time in this series. I think since like sometime in August, mid-August. It had been a while. Andujar homered. They hit a bunch of home runs on the Friday game. The Saturday game, they hit a bunch of home runs. So they've been hitting, pretty decently. Interesting week for them. Pittsburgh, you got to sweep Pittsburgh. I do believe they do face Skeens though, so that's a losable game. I'm excited though. This is going to be a really fun week, and the Reds are going to be at the center of it. So I don't know. And then the other question I have for you is, who is your game one Cubs starter? Because it looks like they're going to be in the wild card. It's probably going to be against San Diego.
Shota Imanaga. Shota.
You're going Shota?
Shota. Yeah, Shota. He has to go number one. It's showtime. He has to. He's the guy you're paying to do so. He's the pitching whisperer. There's not much else he can do. Are you really going to put Cade Horton game one? I wouldn't. Go with the experience. Put the experience out there in game one. Put the pitching whisperer.
Okay. That I knew you were going to say that, and I think that's what the Cubs are going to do, because he's their veteran and he's only year 2 in the major leagues, but he's been there. Obviously, he doesn't have any postseason experience. The thing that worries me about Shota Imanaga, and I think worries Cubs fans a lot about Shota Imanaga, is the fact that he's tied for 6th in home runs allowed in all of baseball this year. The lead is Zach Littell at 36. Shota Imanaga's allowed 29 home runs this season, and I do think it could be a situation where the Cubs decide game of who they go game one, because Imanaga is a fly ball pitcher. And that's kind of why it was a head scratching signing for me originally when they made it, because we know Wrigley can be an extremely tough place to pitch when the wind is blowing out. So on day of, if the wind is blowing out, do they say, okay, we're going to go with Cade Horton instead of Shota Imanaga? Because, if the wind is blowing out, do you really want Imanaga going up against the Padres, a team that can hit home runs? They got Tatis in that lineup. They got some boppers in that lineup that can take the ball out of the stadium. Do you really want Imanaga going in those conditions? If the wind is blowing in, Imanaga is the guy you want pitching in that game. But you do have Cade Horton, a guy that is 6th in FWAR among starting pitchers in the second half of the season. He's been truly like one of the best pitchers in all of baseball in the second half, pitching to a 0.93 ERA in the second half. Like, I know he's a rookie. That's a lot of pressure to put on the shoulders of a rookie against a good Padres team. But I do think there is a debate there. I don't think it's going to be Matthew Boyd. I think it's going to be between Imanaga and Cade Horton. Those are going to be 1-2. Even though Matthew Boyd has probably been their best pitcher throughout the entirety of the season, he has struggled a little bit of late. I think he'd probably be your game 3 guy. But I think I would go Cade Horton, to be honest.
We'll see what happens.
It's a debate, and the Cubs they clinched the postseason. They were celebrating a lot, maybe a little bit. Some people think a little bit too much after they clinched the playoffs on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. Flew to Cincinnati, played horrible on Thursday. You chalk it up to the hangover, but then they just go out and lay a dud all weekend. It's like, all right, you got to see let's see something from the Cubs this week where they can get their shit together heading into the postseason. They got the Mets and the Cardinals. At home. Let's not finish the season on a completely dour note.
Hey, it's Oktoberfest. Council said that they got to Cincinnati and the older guys went back home and the younger guys went and celebrated. So, I wish there was more veteran leadership on that team, letting them know, hey, you made the playoffs. This is nothing. When you're playing for a franchise like the Cubs, making the playoffs should be the standard.
Yeah, how quickly we forget that the Cubs were the lovable losers for so long. And if they made the playoffs, it was damn near a miracle. I get it, celebrating, wanting to feel happy for the team and getting back to the postseason. First time they're going to be playing in the postseason with fans in a long time, but they got to win this week. You cannot fall to San Diego and go play that series on the road. They're still playing for something at this point.
They are. Let's tie up the AL West. I mean, you had a big series out there in the AL West. You had the Seattle Mariners sweeping the Houston Astros. Mariners won 4-0 on Friday, 6-4 on Saturday. You had the Brian Root injury on Friday, leaving the game with pec tightness. And you had the last night's game. Mariners won 7-3. I mean, talk about the diving catch by Victor Robles in Saturday night's game. Doubling up Jake Myers. I mean, that could be a division. That is a division changing play. I mean, my God, the Seattle Mariners looking like they're going to win the division. I mean, I'm putting concern with Houston. I mean, Houston right now has not been playing great baseball, in my opinion. Yeah, they've been getting players in and out of the lineup, but Houston's now 3 games out of the playoffs. They play the A's in the fortress that is Sutter Health Park out in Sacramento. Then they get the Astros. I legitimately think that the Astros are in trouble with the way the guards are playing, which we'll talk about next. I mean, they better win some games here soon, because if not, man. Shout out to Seattle, a team that bought at the deadline, and now they're one of the most feared teams in the American League, probably the best roster in complete terms in the AL from top to bottom in the playoffs. So what remains to be seen if they can get it done.
See, I think Seattle is the team that no one wants to play in October in the American League. I think this is a team that can strike lightning in a bottle and win the World Series. They finally have the lineup. They acquired Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez at the deadline. They went completely all in. Josh Naylor, only the 14th first baseman in Major League history to reach a 2020 season. You got Cal Raleigh, arguably the MVP in the American League. We don't need to get into that debate. It seems like Brian Wu is going to be okay with that pec. If you have to rest him the final week of the season, do it. But I think he's going to be ready for the postseason. I think he's your game 1 starter. He's been incredible this season. ERA sub-3, and they have rotation depth. Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, Castillo. All 5 of those guys could get a playoff start, in my opinion. Maybe not Miller, but Wu, Kirby, Gilbert, and Castillo, all guys that can start in the postseason. You have arguably the best closer in all of baseball, and Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, Bizzardo, Gabe Spire. Both have been good relievers for them. They're relatively healthy. I mean, really no major injuries in that lineup. Randy Arozarena, or in that roster altogether. Randy Arozarena is having a career year. Jorge Polanco has been good this season. Dominic Canzone's been playing good baseball. Like, they are a deep lineup, deep pitching staff, good bullpen. They got everything you want to have playoff success. It's just a matter of them actually going out and doing it. But, as a Yankee fan, I'm glad right now that they're shaping up to be on the other side of the bracket, to where the Yankees would not have to play them until the championship series, because this Seattle team is deep and they're playing their best baseball at the right time. Victor Robles, electric diving catch on that Saturday game, like you said, to end it. I don't think anybody wants any part of this Seattle team in the American League right now. Everyone's talking about the Red Sox because they got Crochet. I mean, they've been struggling, but everyone's talking about the Yankees. They're talking about the Blue Jays. They're talking about the top pitchers like Crochet. And I feel like Seattle is the team that no one wants to play right now. They're scary. And to your point, I think Houston, very good chance they miss out on the playoffs.
Very, very much so. Let's talk about the other division and wild card. The Cleveland Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians.
Oh boy.
3 out of 4. They gave the game up again yesterday, but 3 out of 4, winning Friday 6-2, winning Saturday game 1 6-0, 8-0 game 2, and then the Twins won getaway day 6-2. But Detroit was swept by the Braves 10-1, 6-5 on Saturday, and then Sunday 6-2. The Tigers gave up Saturday as they were winning 5-3, and then Nacho Alvarez made it 5-4. Will Vest blew the save. Charlie Morton pitched on Friday, got DFA'd this weekend.
Was he officially DFA'd? I saw it was like a rumor that he was going to get DFA'd.
He was DFA'd. But I mean, man, the Guardians, it's officially hard for guards right now. It's the hashtag going around Twitter. So, I mean, only 1 game behind Detroit. Detroit's not playing great baseball right now. I think it's time to say that the Guardians will make the playoffs and probably will win the division. I mean, tomorrow you get the 3-game set at Progressive Field in Cleveland. The Tigers and Guardians, it's for the division in Cleveland. And then they get the Rangers to finish the season. The Tigers then go out and play on the Red Sox. Hey, I think Cleveland's going to do it. I mean, Cleveland's been in playoff mode, been one of the hottest teams in the American League, to say the least. I mean, they're in the playoff hunt. They're 9 out of the last 10. Man, what a crazy good team they've been playing. What do you think?
Yeah, they're playing they're playing their best baseball at the right time. The season statistics don't make any sense. If you look at them, they're 30th in batting average, 29th in OPS. And the pitching numbers aren't amazing either, but really down the stretch, this pitching has been incredible. After Saturday's game 2 of the doubleheader, Guardians starting pitching went 16 straight games, allowing two earned runs or less from their starting pitching, which is incredible. You had Parker Messick go 5 1/3, 2 earned. Slade Ciccone went 7 scoreless. Logan Allen went 8 scoreless. And then that streak was snapped on Sunday when Joey Cantillo went 4 1/3. But the starting pitching, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Parker Messick, Slade Ciccone, Logan Allen, Joey Cantillo, all of those guys have been really good for them. J-Ram reached 30 home runs, 40 stolen bases for the second straight season. Again, top 5 player in the game. So he's always kind of the linchpin of your lineup. Bo Naylor's had a really good September. Go look at his splits. He's been great. So like guys are producing in that lineup. Kyle Manzardo had a good stretch in August. Steven Kwan's putting it together of late. So they're in the right situation. Like you would rather be Cleveland than Detroit in the situation where Detroit is in free fall and they're nervous and all the pressure's on Detroit, and kind of Cleveland's just been playing with house money for the past 2 months. They've kind of said like, okay, we're a bunch of games out. Like, let's just see if we get hot. And sure enough, they got hot, and there's no pressure on Cleveland right now, in my opinion, to win this division. All of the pressure is on Detroit. I mean, they were up like 15.5 games at one point. The good news for Detroit this week, it is a tough schedule, obviously playing Cleveland and then playing Boston. But when you look at Detroit, they do get 2 starts from Tarek Skubal this week, which is huge. Tarek Skubal versus Gavin Williams on Tuesday, and then Tarek Skubal versus Lucas Giolito on Sunday. They do avoid Garrett Crochet in the Red Sox series, which is huge. So I don't like it would take a lot for Detroit to completely fall out of the postseason. But again, like it looks like the Guardians are probably going to own the tiebreaker over the Tigers. So tons of pressure on Detroit, not much pressure on Cleveland. Incredible run from Cleveland. Like I don't really know what else to say.
Hard for guards.
I'm not going to say that, but that is the hashtag that is going around. If I had to make a prediction, right now, Fangraphs still somehow gives the Tigers a 63% chance to win the division. Cole Keith is hurt. The starting pitching is such a question mark outside of Skubal. The thing is, the Tigers, they did get swept against the Braves, but the Guardians lost that game on Sunday, so it's still a game. If the Tigers win the Skubal start, I think the Tigers still win the division. That's how I feel about it. And Cleveland has Detroit, and then they play Texas, which I think is a winnable series, but can go either way, I think, at this point. I think it should be like close to 50-50. Nacho Alvarez, by the way, he plays really good defense for the Braves at third base. I feel really good about the Braves next season. I'm not committing to a 2026 World Series champion, but I do think the Braves have a very good chance to be in that conversation.
With HSK, Ha-Seong Kim playing really good at shortstop. Seems like a guy that fixed their position, but we'll see. Boston won 2 out of 3 this weekend against Tampa, 11-7 on Friday off a Garrett Crochet start. Crochet went 6 strong, 3 earned, 9 strikeouts. They won Saturday 6-3, and then the Rays won Sunday on getaway day 7-3. You also had Toronto and Kansas City, which Kansas City won 2 out of 3. Friday, I was watching this game live. Kansas City literally jumped out in the first inning and put up a lot of runs, to say the least, winning 20-1. And then Saturday, the Royals won 2-1, and then the Blue Jays won yesterday 8-5. So as we've talked about, Toronto has been struggling, but I mean, they do kind of have a vice grip on the division. They really need to just blow up this week for them not to make the playoffs. And Boston staying alive right now. I mean, they got a tough week with Detroit at the end of the week, but at the start of the week, they just got to hold serve and make sure they take care of Toronto. So will be interesting to see what happens in this division. I mean, all's left to play for. It's all right in front of us, and it's go time for both teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Challenging week for Boston, going to Toronto and then playing Detroit. Detroit is probably still going to be playing for something, obviously, at that point. So Boston a game up for that second wildcard spot. I would still be very shocked if they completely drop out of the playoffs altogether, because that means that Cleveland and Houston would be in there instead of them. And I really think Houston can drop out more so than Boston. But yeah, that Sunday night game was a night game for Boston because they had the Buccaneers game at noon in Tampa right next door. So they had to move that game to the night. Last home game for the Rays this year. Do you think George M. Steinbrenner Field was a success for them this season?
I mean, it robbed Judge of a home run, so
it did. Judge should be at 50.
I will say that. I mean, there's not much. It's a ballpark. I mean, they're not. Thankfully, we don't have to see any games out there this year.
In the
to
postseason,
be honest,
yeah,
is like it would be a mess.
Yeah, be curious to see where they play next season, because I don't think it's confirmed that they're playing there next year. So, good series win for Boston. You know, obviously you'd want to get the sweep. A lot of pressure on them this week. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, lots of pressure. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's the last week of the Major League season. We'll be back again at the end of the week to review more. I mean, hey, we got a lot of good ball. I think you're excited. I'm excited. Anything else?
How can I not be? I mean, unfortunately, we only have like 3 games tonight, so it really kicks off on Tuesday, and then Tuesday through Sunday, it's just go, go, go. Only real big game today, I think, is San Diego versus Milwaukee. Other than that, I mean, Giants, Cardinals, meh, and then Nationals, Braves, which is meaningless. So Tuesdays is the day to tune in. I'm excited. I can't wait. There's so many. This is so many really good races this season. Last year, obviously, we had the National League wild card last year. I had the Braves and the Mets play those 2 games on the last day, or the Monday, whatever. But this year, it feels like there's still so much to play for across really the whole league into the last week. So I'm excited. I cannot wait for this thing to kick off.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, make sure you follow us on the talk. Follow us on Twitter/X. Follow us on Instagram, and make sure you give us a YouTube follow. I mean, we're trying to get up to that subscriber goal of the year, which is
200. We're at 155 right now.
And we will be back, William, when?
Probably Friday morning.
Friday morning.
To preview the final weekend of the season. I can't believe it. It's been 6 months of 2 pods a week, and we're now finally getting to the point where we can taste playoff baseball.
It'll be 1 pod every other day, probably.
We'll see. It's going to be fun, though. Luis, thanks as always. This was a lot of fun. Hope you guys all have a great week, and we'll catch you guys again on Friday. Until then, catch you next time. Peace out.